Welcome to the Limerick's Life podcast with your hosts, Sharon Slater
and Peter.
Welcome to this bite-sized episode of the Limerick's Life podcast.
Christmas edition.
I'm Sharon Slater and I know about history.
I'm Peter and I don't know about history.
Let's dive straight in. Christmas wasn't always the festive occasion we know it as today.
Oh.
You just have to read A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens to know how much simpler the season was.
Oh, A Christmas Carol. The tale of three ghosts torturing a rich man. It's my kind of story.
Yeah. Well, during Dickens's childhood in England, celebrating Christmas had become virtually obsolete in the towns and cities. And this didn't change until the Bank Holidays Act of 1871. That officially established Christmas in both England and Ireland.
Interesting.
Charles Dickens himself, though, he grew up in poverty, and when he was 12 years old, he had to go to work in a factory. There he worked for 14 hours a day, 6 days a week. His childhood experiences undoubtedly influenced his novels, which often worked around a central poor character.
He does like writing about poor street urchins.
That he does. In 1842, aged 30, he put pen to paper and began to write what would become known as A Christmas Carol. On its first release the following year, the story made Dickens very little money, but it made him famous, spawning a series of copycat books and plays.
So it's like on Instagram or TikTok when you never really know who the original source is.
That it was. Although he couldn't have known it at the time, in this novel, Dickens invented Christmas as we know it today. This was the same time when Queen Victoria and her German husband popularised decorating a Christmas tree. Before that, that wasn't really a thing over here.
Oh, it's a very important time for the holiday, so.
Yeah. Now, what has Dickens got to do with Limerick?
What does Dickens have to do with Limerick?
Well, on the 21st of August, 1858, Dickens arrived in Dublin by ferry. He was on a book tour of the British Isles, and while in Ireland, he visited Cork and then Limerick. At the time, Dickens was considered a celebrity, and the news of his arrival and the dates of his shows were widely publicised.
I know it still happens, but it's weird to think about a writer being that big of a celebrity. I feel like people only really talk about actors or athletes that way now. But I guess Dickens's work at the time was prime entertainment.
That it was. When he arrived in Limerick, he took a room in the Cruises Royal Hotel, where Cruises Street is today. There used to be a massive hotel there.
Oh.
On his first night, he wrote to his nephew, William Henry Wills. He said, I'm going to quote it, "This is the oddest place, of which nobody in any other part of Ireland seems to know anything. Nobody could answer a single question we had about it."
That's how I'm going to describe Limerick to everyone from now on.
So he arrived on a Wednesday evening, the 1st of September, 1858, and took to the stage in the Theatre Royal. The Theatre Royal was built in 1841 by Joseph Fogarty, and it was a single-storey building where the Life Centre Church is today. You know where Smith's toy shops used to be on Henry Street?
Henry Street, yeah.
In the 19th century, though, it was the theatre of choice in Limerick. That's where people wanted to go.
Mm.
It lasted until January 1922 when it was destroyed by fire.
Oh.
That's why we don't have a theatre anymore.
Yeah.
Dickens wrote about the theatre itself, and he said, "There is no large room, and I read in the theatre, a charming theatre, the best I ever saw to see and hear in."
Oh, that's high praise.
Isn't it? Coming from Dickens. His first evening at the theatre, though, didn't go as professionally as Dickens was accustomed to.
Oh.
He said in another letter the following day, "Arthur said when he opened the doors last night, there was a rush of 3 ducks. We expect a pig tonight." Despite this, he thought the tour was successful. And he said about Limerick, "I'm glad we came, though we could have made heaps of money by going to Dublin instead."
Classic Limerick.
Yeah, people don't realise how great it is until they come here and then they go, "Oh, it's great." And on the first night, he read from A Christmas Carol, and the press afterwards said He was giving from his own lips the details of Ebenezer Scrooge's sinister peculiarities. The following night, he also read Boots at the Holly Tree Inn.
Oh, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, it wouldn't be one of his more popular books. On both nights, the local press stated he was dressed in the fashion of the day. They ended up going into detail as well, stating that he had a rose in the coat and the snow whiteness of the shirt was further relieved by a sundry of gold studs.
Sounds like a dapper chap, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the gold studs were on this white shirt, but an interesting scene anyway. So the fact that he came to Limerick is not quite the end of the story. Remember season 1, episode 8, Bovril in Ballywire, when we were talking about Rosina Beulah-Lytton?
My favourite person so far.
Well, that scheming husband of hers was besties with Dickens. And in 1858, the year she got put into a mental asylum, Dickens was in Limerick, and Dickens was also trying to get his own wife locked up because he ran away with a much younger woman.
What a time to be a writer's wife.
Yeah, the local press didn't take kindly to Dickens as he made it public that he was separating from his wife, and the editor of the Limerick Chronicle said, Mr. Charles Dickens has separated from his wife on consequence of their tempers not agreeing, and in an explanatory letter returns thanks to her sister who has lived with them for 15 years for her care and attention to their children. He denies any attachment existing between him and a young lady spoken of.
Tempers not agreeing is a beautiful line. I'll have to remember that one.
Yeah, the editor of the Chronicle kept going. On the first night of the show, he described the scene inside the theatre. And he said, as a general reader, we cannot give him unqualified praises. For although he undoubtedly presents dramatic talents, for a first-rate order for personifying characters, yet he recited several passages of a descriptive nature in a sing-song schoolboy style that was below par. So he pretty much said, yeah, he's talented, but he doesn't put on a good show. Both of these papers, the first one where it said that he had left his wife, and the second one where it said that he wasn't great at the job, would have greeted Dickens inside in the Cruises Hotel.
Ooh.
And the editor kept going. On the evening of Dickens' departure from the city, he wrote again saying, if in defiance of good taste and common sense, Mr. Dickens will persist in obtruding his matrimonial troubles before the public, he must need take the consequences, and these consequences likely to be very different from those which the accomplished author may think himself likely to expect. A celebrated writer.
So the editor of the Chronicle was not a fan?
Absolutely not. Dickens did have a massive turnout for his shows in Limerick, so the people of Limerick in 1858 got to hear the story of A Christmas Carol. So are we going to watch A Christmas Carol?
Ooh, we could do the Muppet version.
With that, we'll say bye-bye for now.
Happy holidays and bye-bye.
Find out more about this and other Limerick stories at limerickslife.com and check us out on our social media. You can find Limerick's Life on buymeacoffee.com. Mine's a decaf.
And mine's a latte.